Hey guys, it's Dan back from Generation Productions, and I thought we'd talk about some of my favourite games of all time. Since now we have Pokemon, basically Sword and Shield out, I figure it's about time maybe I should talk to you, to some of the audience of the Christian circles, because there's some people, like kids and adults in the Christian community, don't understand what Pokemon is about, what Pokemon to avoid, and stuff like that. So I'm just going to give you guys a complete rundown. Look, to some of you guys who are great Pokemon collectors, like myself. I'm a Christian myself, and I play Pokemon games. But there are some elements of Pokemon that should be avoided, or once you've completed, never go back there, or never have anything to do with it ever again. And that's the reason why I'll explain something else too. So here we go.
Best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To fame them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. These Pokemon will understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch up if you want me. I know it's my destiny.
Okay, and that was the music done by Nathan Young and Jason Page. Jonathan Young, that music of yours is really awesome. I might have to borrow your music for a second for this video, but absolutely awesome stuff. And today I'm dressed up as, I said, Red from the Pokemon classic game Pokemon Red, and all those kind of variants. And also I've got my buddy Pikachu with me and my Pokeball, so let's get started. So, whether or not Christians should actually play Pokemon, well, to be honest, it's a real mixed bag, because to be honest, the concept of Pokemon is, yes, you capture these kind of animals and train them to level up and evolve into other Pokemon, or well, no, sorry, into other variants of the same Pokemon. So the thing that gets me is, people, what is evolution? First of all, for a Christian perspective, evolution is bad because of this whole thing. It's anti-Christian. So we've got that element. Well, I'll just nail that on the head. When Pokemon talks about evolution, like from changing one thing into another, it's not like a true evolution, because evolution is changing from one thing into another. When Pikachu evolves, it still turns into a Raichu, but it's still an electric mouse Pokemon. It's still the same species. It's still the same gender, and even what could also be considered is that when Pikachu evolves into Raichu, it is literally like an adult version of a Pikachu. Like Pikachu itself is like a child, and then it sort of like grows up or transforms as when it evolves. So it's like like the evolutions that Pokemon talk about are more like growth and development, more than an actual evolution, like, say, like a fish turning into a little reptile, then turning into a dinosaur. Now that's, for me as a Christian, I find that completely silly. Don't debate me on that one, because that's not what we're here to talk about. But, so therefore when Pokemon refers to evolution, it's not the true meaning of an evolution. It's talking about more like a process in which to level up, grow, and develop your Pokemon. It has nothing actually to do with the actual figurative or literal term of evolution. Another thing is, well, the Pokemon that we got to try and stay away from, truly 100%, pretty much these types, these certain types. One being the ghost type. These kinds, the ghost type Pokemon, I would say are the evil, or if you want to put it, they're the kind of types that are what you could consider somewhat demonic. Of course, though, they could just be like other type of entities that no one knows about, which is in defense of Pokemon. But in saying that, I do see there is a lot of a spiritual-esque element to the ghost type, hence the name Ghost. So therefore, if to complete the Pokédex, you need to capture every Pokemon. So best to label a Pokemon box as like a storage system for it. Just name it Hell and just drop them in there. Especially if they've got an evil Pokédex entry. And also another type is Dark type. Now both Dark and Ghost type are probably the most ones that Christians should stay away from as far as using. I know they have to collect them to complete the Pokédex, but like I said before, as soon as you collect them, just store them in the Pokemon box and never use them again. Or do the other famous thing, which is if you collect it, then you can release it as well. So that's the two other options. So you can fill up the Pokédex, do the thing, then just let it, release it, or leave it in the box and never use it again. That's two theories to do with those two types, but they're the two types mainly that I believe Christians should watch out for when their kids are playing the game, is collecting the Dark and the Ghost type, because they are the types that seem to have a lot of supernatural elements, even like a lot more than what is considered spiritual qualities in other Pokemon. Considering other Pokemon are based on elements like water, electricity, fire, air, all those kind of things. And you can also apply that to the animals in nature, like a shark. That could be considered to be a shark, like a real animal shark, could be considered a water animal. So therefore it's part of the water. You've got birds that can be considered to be types of the air. So in a way, it's like a grading system. Or an elephant being a land animal, so therefore its type is a land type. So things like that. But like I said, again, some Pokemon are not worth. You should not let your kids actually have it on your team. For those reasons, there is a supernatural aspect to some of them, and I will bring up a list here for you guys. Go check out these guys. Creeps Plays, Dobbs, and all these other guys. Just basically Google that up, and you will literally find the Pokemon that kids should try to avoid using in gameplay, because some of those Pokemon are really nasty. So yeah, but then we come to some other concepts from other fellow Christians, and I would like to talk to you guys about that. Just give me a second, people. Just having a look at the battery life. Okay, I'm still good. So I'm going to actually play some clips here from other Christian people who believe that Pokemon is absolutely evil, which I don't really agree with. But anywho, let's get into it.
Of the satanic. Well, you might not take it quite seriously. I assure you that demons take it quite seriously. Satan takes it quite seriously. Your children need to know there's a devil, and he hates them, and he wants to ruin their life.
Dude, first of all, you had to pick the cutest one. I don't know who you are, mate, but as a pastor or preacher or an evangelist, I want to say, well, look, you got a wrong point there, that Jigglypuff is a form of Satan. You should actually have a look at some of the, like I told other people here, Google up the creepy Pokédex entries, and then you'll find true Pokemon that look a bit weird, with weird Pokédex entries. But for that most part, Jigglypuff has nothing to do with actually any kind of satanic thing in Psy. Basically, all it does is sing its voice, and the frequency, the high-pitched frequency of its playing it, basically talking in its music, singing actually puts Pokemon or even people to sleep, as seen in the games. So it's not really a hypnotic trance per se, and it's not really a hypnosis thing or connected to psychic abilities. It's not even a psychic type, so therefore it's not really classed as hypnotizing to put the people to sleep. It's just a high range frequency in order to put a Pokemon or a Pokemon animal or a human to sleep. So I'm sorry, mate, but calling Jigglypuff here a demon, or even remotely calling it a Satan. No offense, mate, but have you noticed there's no horns? It's not a red colour. There's many things you got wrong, mate. There's not even a Bible description of a demon looking like this. So to be honest, mate, I think you've completely botched it on that one. Let's see what else. Okay, and here's another little bit of tidbit for you peoples, and that's just for everyone to know. The real premise of the game was basically collecting animals and training animals and caring for animals. Even though, yes, I do understand the dog fighting / analogy for when, or cock fighting, chicken fighting, or basically dog fighting as a part of the whole system with the thing. But in saying that, this is what it's all really about. The guy who created Pokemon, basically, yeah, that dude's name, Satoru Tashari, was basically a big collector of bugs and stuff and insects, and decided to base his whole entire game around that. Now, as far as types and elements go, that may be a corporate thing. I don't know, but that was the original idea. Was the idea of collecting animals and collecting bugs and collecting them. Now, I don't know whether that means he I don't know whether that means he had like a tennis ball or something, and he used to like cut out the tennis ball and stick like bugs or things inside tennis balls. I don't know, to make Pokeballs. I don't know, but the concept I'm trying to get at is that intentionally, Pokemon itself is not intentionally evil. However, that being said, there are some things you need to stay away from. The Pokemon Sun and Moon television series got really, really dark with some of their content. Again, if you Google that, just give me a second, people. If you Google that, dark Pokemon moments, you'll also, if you Google that, dark Pokemon moments, you'll see here where that stuff went a bit nasty. Although, again, the manga, the comic books are probably more to avoid as well, because there was a lot more darker stuff in the comics. And of course, also, like I said before, the Sun and Moon Pokemon had lots of creepy shit in it as well. So, those are the series I think I'd say kids need to avoid, the Christians need to avoid as playing Pokemon, because, yes, there is some really crazy stuff that was in Pokemon and the series. But that being said, though, the games themselves are pretty much well harmless, but there are some Pokemon that you should not touch or go near. Or if you have to do it to complete the Pokédex, store them in a box called Hell, or store it in a Pokemon box and never touch those Pokemon again. And like I said, just Google up dark moments, or Google up creepy Pokédex entries on YouTube, and you'll find the videos of the Pokemon and what episodes and what things to avoid in the Pokemon franchise, because there is some creepy stuff in there. But I think the biggest thing is, as long as you treat the Pokemon as actual animals with abilities, then basically I think you'll be fine. If you start believing some of the Pokédex entries and treat them like supernatural beings or see them as gods or something like that, that's where the problem will start. But as far as some of these things go, I really think it's a bit of a half-half situation. To be honest, if I was a Christian parent and I had a kid who's playing Pokemon, maybe not the recommended age limit, which would be 10 years old. I'm thinking maybe 11, 12, where kids can actually understand. You can sit them, and this goes for you Christian parents. You need to sit down with your kids and explain to them what Pokemon is wrong, and not to actually use it in the thing because of its wrong characteristics, because Pokemon have certain moves and certain characteristics which is almost satanic or demonic in nature, and should explain that to the kids when they play the game, not to collect those particular Pokemon, or if they do, they should release them once they've caught them to finish the Pokédex entry, or store them in the Pokemon box and never use them again. That's my theory, people. But let's go and have a look at some of these other guys.
He gets to a point where he's to an Oriental demons.
Yeah.
Now, there's this guy here. I don't know his name, but let's have a look at him.
Pokemon, to advance in power, it has to evolve to another level, and each evolution, he becomes more demonic in appearance, and eventually he gets to a point where he's totally demonic.
Sorry, mate. I'm sorry, mate. No. Since I believe you're referring to the Generation 1 red and blue versions, no. There is only one Pokemon who I could consider that you're possibly referring to, and that is Gengar. But no. Most of all the Pokemon, when they transform and evolve into certain different Pokemon, they don't actually look. Not all of them evolve into demonic beings. Like I said before, Pikachu. He doesn't exactly evolve into this big horned, red, flying, bat-winged demon. Some things like that. It's like some Pokemon are not even remotely based around demons. They're actually based around living creatures or creatures of other fiction things. Of other fictional things, like dragons or little little people like trolls or something like that. Not all of them are actually based around the demonic premises. Mainly ghost type are. So there you go, mate.
These are all Oriental demons. These children will play it for hours and they'll compete against each other. And it's not necessarily occultic, but it's distracting. That's all they can think about. And then, they don't go back to read the Bibles or study the Word because they're hooked on these things.
Yeah, well, to be honest, mate, now you're actually going on to the premise of being addictive. Well, mate, any game, any movie, anything can be addictive. So, I'm sorry, mate, but you're wrong there. I'm sorry. Any game or anything can be addictive. So, to be honest, it's all about teaching parents how to tell kids how to avoid getting addictions. This could be mobile phone apps today. This could be making YouTube videos. This could be anything. So anything could be addictive. So playing Pokemon can be addictive. Yes, I do agree. But again, it's all about the parents should rise up and teach their kids how to cope with addictions. Okay, so I'm done with you, and maybe I'll do another video talking to this guy. But he also brought up many things about the Pokemon thing and the Pokemon card game. Now, at the same time, we also had Magic
Character Alive for a certain
Magic the Gathering cards. And yes, I will even say to you people, Magic the Gathering cards are almost, as you can see, somewhat demonic in nature as well, but then again, this is a different franchise. It has no connection to Pokemon per se, so trying to connect Magic the Gathering to Pokemon is really a silly idea because it has no actual connections other than possibly having monsters in their games. That's about all. And there's a lot more articles about this guy, but about this. Back to this guy, and I'll personally debate him on any Pokemon issue if he wishes to contact me or whatever, and the same with any Christian person. Leave a comment section below, and I'll actually talk to you guys about Pokemon and how things go. But yeah, overall, people, there are some elements in Pokemon that should be avoided. And so I'm just going to wrap this up. There are some elements with the Ghost and Dark type, and maybe even a little bit of New Age thrown in there for the idea of using stones to evolve Pokemon. But overall, the game is meant to only be for fun and not be taken seriously. And I know that's just a cop-out, so I'm not going to actually go into that. More or less, though, there's just some Pokemon that people should avoid, and mainly is the Ghost and Dark types. And maybe even the Ultra Beast types, store them in a Pokemon box, never to use them again, or release them after capture, so that you can register it in Pokemon decks and then get rid of them. That's the only thing I can a couple options I can leave to you guys for Christian kids or teenagers or adults playing Pokemon. First, you capture the Pokemon, and then either because it has demonic connotations or considered to be like a demon-like, either store it in the box and leave it there and not use it again. Once you've collected the Pokemon, you can also release them. You can also release that Pokemon and not have it in your box or in your team that you actually go around with, training with. And overall, people, yeah, just keep an eye out for all these kind of things. I will say that yes, there is some demonic aspects to Pokemon, but not entirely. So there is some really great elements like competitions and various other things. But again, people, I suggest you actually go and play the game before you actually judge on whether for yourselves. Go and have a look at it for yourselves before you even decide. And even, again, look up on videos on YouTube, not just Christian ones, but non-Christian ones as well, to get a broader spectrum and not just a narrow-minded view of how Pokemon is and how it's played. Okay, people, well, that's just my idea for you guys. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.